Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 413. This is your guide to the geek side. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, joined by Charlie Carden.
Woohoo! Take two.
Yes, this is going to be a fun one because we were all in, our energy levels were up, and then we had a snafu. But guess what? It's going to even better because we already practiced. So
Practice
we got
is
our
good.
lines down. We're going to be into this. But you know what? We are joined by a special guest this week, a good friend of ours, back after almost a year. That is Mr. Luke Lohr from the Xbox Expansion Pass, and also the Patreon for the same thing. Congratulations, buddy.
Woohoo! Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate you guys bringing me back. Love talking DC. And in general, it's just been too long, boys. It's good to see you.
Absolutely. So congrats again on the Patreon. Luke has one of the best podcasts about Xbox. Used to do it solo. He has now brought on a new host, Captain Logan. And just like we are doing with our own podcast to grow, to pay the bills, just to keep doing what we love, Patreon's a great way to do it. And so, Luke, obviously, it's probably, let me guess, it is going to be patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's it. That is it. It was a scary step to take, but I've been making content for 3 years on my very humble laptop, and as the needs of growing with an audience, it's like, all right, I need to upgrade if I want to keep growing, and it's always a cool thing to see people be supportive. It's been a great launch. People have been really kind. If they couldn't support financially, they were sharing it. They were telling people about it, and that in and of itself was a reminder of just how cool it can be. So I'm grateful, excited, and nervous. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we can't see what you do with the Patreon, and obviously what allows you to do next, because you do awesome interviews. You have a great discussion about Xbox and from a non-biased perspective, which is always appreciated. Not a fanboy. You'll call them out as needed, but you don't hesitate to show your love and enjoyment of the things that make Xbox special.
100%.
Nice.
Yeah. Rising tide lift all boats, man. Every time.
Absolutely. You know what? And well, we have Patreon too. So we're Patreon compadres. And we just wanted to say thank you to our patrons. We've already got a couple that have joined us along the way, but we had an influx of new members. Charlie, I'll do the Friends with Benefits tier, folks. Mr. Johnsdorf joined us. That's a great tier where you get new content. So appreciate that. You get to become part of our Discord group in the Patreon, part of that channel. And then the Phoenix Sisters Cosplay. They were one of our first members, and we forgot to thank them. So thank you for being part of our podcast, friends within the Patreon network. We thank you.
Awesome. And jumping into the friend zone, that is our entry-level tier. A couple of pals of mine. Joanna Daskovich is a work friend of mine, and Derek Trevelyan is a local buddy who is a figure collector along with me. And I just said, hey, if you want to help us out, that would be great. And they did. And welcoming back, of course, from our BFF level is the awesome Nias family. That would be Sean, Stella, and Henry, and my awesome friend, Missy Merchant. We love you all. Thank you for helping us do what we do.
Yeah, and the most recent thing we dropped on Patreon that's exclusive, Mark dropped the Canadian Corner, which is great. It's his take on what he's excited about in the world of comic books or whatever. This time it was video games, with GoldenEye dropping. Very cool. He did a perspective of the Xbox versus the Switch version. And then we dropped our second episode of the Spinner Rack, where we did our review of Kang the Conqueror. Basically, it's the newest comic focusing on Kang's origin, especially as it's coming out with Ant-Man as the main villain. This is a good time to revisit a story with him. So check it out there if you're interested. It's available for all Patreon subscribers at the Friends with Benefit level and above. So thank you, patrons. Yes thank you. Now one of the things we have to talk about that people love about our show is us talking about a cover that is infamous. And that is number 13, The Champions from Marvel Comics from May 1977. The Champions in this issue features the team members of Hercules, Black Widow, Angel, Ghost Rider, and Iceman. And apparently Darkstar is also in this comic, and she's going to try to save the day.
Oh man, yeah, they're fighting some wacky demons or whatever, and yes, the creatures of Camo Tharn. Interesting that we don't know more about this, probably because it went nowhere. Because yeah, that's a team that I think they dwindled in the teens, and before they hit issue 20, I think they were toast. So hey, you know what? A lot of comics back in the day was clearly just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. And maybe this didn't stick so much, but you know what? A plus for effort, I think.
This was like the annoying brother to the Defenders. The Defenders are always already like a C tier. This is like a D tier. And I don't think the Champions have been back for quite some time. But you know what? It could be the next greatest thing for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Phase
Could
18.
be. They own it. Why not? Make the most of it. Make the most of it.
Yes. So after you're done reading this comic, because I know you want to, we're going to check in with our gal pal, our senior news correspondent. So without further delay, Madam Webb, take it away.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Luke, Madam Webb has been very quiet lately. She's been demure, but her ears perked up when she said she heard that you have a new co-host, Captain Logan. I don't know how lonely those seas get at night on the Sea of Thieves, but if he's looking for maybe a casual lady to help play with his mast.
A lady of the mid-evening, not lady of the night.
To help with his mast.
Oh, boy.
She might be available.
My goodness.
I don't. Ooh, well, there's an image that we'll all treasure.
Yeah, I hear they have medication for that. Anyway, Todd, during the sports ball game last week, which I was forced to tune into for about 10 sucky minutes and still didn't see this trailer, we got a trailer, if you didn't hear me saying that before. Picard Season 3, Star Trek. This season has been a source of kind of knuckle whitening terror for us over on Code 47 because, Luke, you're a big Star Trek guy. You've been on with us before, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Season 2 of Picard was not a joy. I don't know if you have particular wonderful feelings about it, but you know that expression I just used about Marvel in the 70s, throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks? Well, that was Picard Season 2, and nothing stuck. You tried to put Borg in the queue and some time travel and Guinan, and it just did not land. Well, we've known for about a year now that Season 3 of Picard will be the return of the entirety of the classic TNG cast, potentially giving us the send-off that we were really robbed of back in 2002 with Star Trek Nemesis, their last film, which just fell very, very flat in the eyes of most people. And of course, we've dissected that on Code 47 as well. So, Todd, you're the tough stuff dude when it comes to evaluating stuff. How did this trailer make you feel?
Oh, I'm really excited for it, but I've been fooled again previously by Picard.
Haven't we all?
I hope they've learned the lesson with a lot of these shows lately, where it's a lot of setup, and then a lot of like doldrums during the next 7 episodes, and then they realize, oh wait, we're ending in 1 episode. Oh crap, we better wrap this up, and then it becomes like
Season 2.
Too much, not really great, feeling like you got a satisfying ending, and it like ooh. Didn't they learn from the previous season? They did the exact same thing. I don't know. I am hopeful because I like all of the cast. I think this is great. That we're going to be seeing some new characters. And it looks like Jerry Ryan is she's going to have her own new crew, which is kind of cool too. Yeah, so we're going to get old and new.
She's in Starfleet now, first officer of the ship. You get to meet the captain. He's the guy who's kind of, having dinner with Picard and Riker and saying, well, we're going to have a nice easy cruise, blah, blah, blah. They have this young man who some people are saying, is that Picard's long lost son? And that's why Crusher showed up? Or is that his nephew who was supposed to have died back in Star Trek Generations and blah, blah, blah? Could be nothing at all. But, I know people, lots of journalists. A friend of the show, Kurt Krug, is a journalist and got a screener. So he's seen the first 6 episodes, and he said, this is what Star Trek is supposed to feel like. So when seasoned professionals are giving it the thumbs up, and, Kurt he's a great journalist. He's a freelance guy. When something sucks, he always lets me know. So that gives me some hope.
Luke, are you feeling that this is going to deliver?
Yes. I absolutely am. I agree with Charlie about Season 2. In general, I think a lot of Picard has been forgettable, despite me grinning ear to ear when I watch it. If that makes sense. Like I'm enjoying it, I'm having fun, but like I'm like, what are we doing here? That this doesn't feel right. This looks like it will be exactly what we kind of all wanted the show to be in general. You know what I mean? Like that was the biggest thing is I just wanted more of these characters together. I like the idea of this darkness coming. It makes me wonder about that. I think it was season 2 episode Conspiracy. Like, is this finally that coming back? I want that to be the thing.
Oh, the season 1, the bluegills, the little thingy with the getting it. Yeah, from TNG back at the end of season 1. That was the one where they had the dude that they exploded at the end because he was the mother bluegill. Oh, baby.
What if it's them coming back? Because it's like, you don't trust no one. Like,
yeah, they did that. They did that in beta canon with the DS9 relaunch. They brought back those bluegills. So, but this would, nothing in beta canon counts. So it's all just fan fiction. So they could do anything they want if it's not been done on screen. That's the Star Trek rule. So,
I do have a follow-up question because something that's really important to mention. Did we ever get a notice that we're going to get Riker's frozen pizzas? Or Riker Pizza Restaurant, because that was a big part of when Riker showed up, we're going to make you pizza, and pizza was a big deal.
Right. I don't know that in a free, the free market economy in the Federation where there's no money that he could either be successful or not be successful. So who knows? Maybe that's one of the hard hitting, questions that's got to be addressed. We'll see. We'll find out.
I'm glad I called it out because I was afraid everybody was too afraid to talk about pizza.
The hard hitting pizza issues. I can respect that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, next story, after we're done, getting excited about Picard 3, that's coming out mid-Feb?
Feb 16, so just 10 days from now.
Perfect. So after Valentine's Day, after you're done being romantic, you can get excited about Picard.
Get romantic with Picard.
But something that was announced, which I got a kick out of, and the fact that we are getting an actual real biography on Scott Lang. It's his memoir that you can buy, and it's a real thing. It's being published, and it's going to be able to be bought at bookstores, which is very funny. It's the incredible story of an ex-con turned world-saving superhero. The ad for this is really well done. Paul Rudd is kind of confused if it's him or it's not. At times, he tells people this will change your life. He's told you can't say that. He goes, it might change your life. I love this. I think it's a great synergy of just something fun and dumb that we could expect. The book, though, apparently it's not coming out very soon, which I thought was very odd. It's like, shouldn't this be coming out in 2 or 3 weeks?
Why wouldn't that be a promo to the film? That doesn't make any sense.
It's September 5th, 2023 is when it's coming out.
Good plan, guys. I guess their printing presses don't work that fast, or you couldn't put it out digitally.
He's still writing it, maybe.
Oh my gosh! No, that's funny. No, this was not on my radar at all. But that's fun. This book is 100%.
It's called real. Look Out for the Little Guy.
Oh my gosh!
And he's just going to tell you stories about who he was, his past, and then it's got a byline by Bruce Banner. It says, "Introduces the man behind the hero, and the hero I call friend." Bruce Banner, fellow Avenger. So, this is going to be fun. But I just wanted to bring this back to the real discussion at heart. Do you guys have any fake, books that have been introduced in things, whether it was a tome or something referred to in fiction? It's I would love to read that book.
I read an excerpt of God Hates Us All, which was Hank Moody, the Dave Duchovny's character from Californication. That was published.
Really?
And I read the beginning of it. And the whole series is around how he's this brilliant writer. And he wrote this great book. And then he went into seclusion and stuff. And I read the first little bit of it. And I'm like, it just reads like the show. I'm not impressed. You know what I mean? It's not it wasn't the next, Shakespeare or whatever.
Luke, do you have one? No?
No, I'm thinking, I don't think so.
So I have one, and I don't know, maybe it's been produced, but Tobin's Spirit's Guide.
Oh, I was
just Ghostbusters. Right. Unusual literature, Tobin's Spirit Guide.
Is that, I'm sure it's real, right? I'm sure somebody's got it somewhere, right?
Yeah. And another one I thought about was the character that inspired Bruce Wayne to become Batman. He was a movie character. Was it the Gray
The Gay
Ghost?
Blade, wasn't it the Gay Blade? Oh no, that
Yeah,
was
so
the movie.
I don't know.
Ghost,
I don't know if the Gray Ghost ever got like a real comic book or something like that, or if it was. But that would have been cool too, to like
right.
another building of like kind of the mythology and doing something fun. And Batman's run around so long that would have probably made a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, it
The
would.
Gray Ghost. Love it. Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other books out there that people have referenced, and like I think if like any like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like Giles the Librarian had like a billion like supernatural tomes, so I would like to get most of those, which would be fantastic. But oh well.
Sweet.
Yeah, this is great. It's fun. I would love to see more properties lean into just be that kind of that tongue in cheek, just having fun with it. So that's available coming out in September. And I would say it's probably timed with the release on video, but no, because things come out now in like 3 months later. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh well. But lastly, our last story is it's Star Wars news, which I normally wouldn't cover. But this one has me really interested, and that's Star Wars Vision Season 2. Star Wars Vision Season 1 was basically anime take on Star Wars tales. Mm-hmm. They're very short, like 10, 15 minutes long, by different anime studios. And I liked a couple, but a lot of them felt very hit and miss. And we are getting season 2, which is more international. So it's going to have animation studios from the US, South America, India, all over the world. And Aardman is really the standout to me because Aardman Studios is going to be doing one. And Aardman makes, oh my God. Oh, I'm blanking on the name. It's the Wallace and Gromit.
Oh,
so,
oh, that's funny.
The
claymation deal, yeah.
Okay. They did Chicken Run. They did a couple other things. But a lot of the animation style that I've seen, it's all over the place. Some of it's CG, some of it's hand-drawn animation. It's some almost like papercraft, like the studio that did Over the Garden Wall, which almost it's a British studio. Just really interesting visual styles, which I think means that they can tell really different stories and can really go far. And one of them was interesting, and they list the name of the titles. One's called Sith by El Guri. One is called Screecher's Reach, which, Charlie, if you know any things, or Luke's, if you know if there's a reference to any of these, let me know. This is by Cartoon Saloon. In the Stars by Punk Robot. I'm Your Mother by Aardman, which, let's see, it doesn't say anything about the synopsis. Journey the Darkhead by Studio Mir. Spy Dancer, Studio La Cachet. The Bandits of Golok, 88 Pictures. The Pit by Dart Shatago and Lucasfilm Ltd. And then Aura's Song by Triggerfish.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, there was an Auric Sing in Star Wars, but that's about it. But yeah, looking at these, it's all international studios. One, there's an American one, South Africa. I saw Singapore, France, Korea. Yeah, Chile. I mean, it's a lot of really interesting stuff here. So that's awesome. And again, obviously over on Holocron, we talked about season 1, and I was kind of a tag along for that because anime is just not my jam, but always willing to give it a second run, particularly if they're diversifying, because Todd, we've talked time and again that if Star Wars just keeps stuck in the way, if they're still stuck in second gear, they're never gonna, do a great job of winning that race. So this is exciting. This is good, exciting news that they're branching out and trying to do different stuff.
The first season, I don't believe, was canon at all, so I'm assuming this won't be canon either.
So.
Unless somebody really loves something and it gets like acclaim, then they could say, "Oh, just kidding, it is canon now." But
or they can work it into something. That's how non-canon becomes canon in Star Wars.
Exactly. Luke, did you watch any of the first season?
Nope. I knew it existed and didn't pay any mind to it. I think my eyes were just set on Mando because we had Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Boba I had mixed thoughts on Boba. So my eyes are just on Mando, ready for Mando 3.
Oh, baby. Oh,
Did you ever watch? I mean, there was something similar called The Animatrix, which was animation shorts based on the Matrix universe, and there was one by Dark for Batman too. It was basically 6 Batman stories, And that was really cool. And they had some neat ones, like there were villains talking about their experiences against Batman and how different they portrayed Batman, which was kind of a cool take. So I would love to see more like that, like those just really unique tales that you just don't get anywhere else.
Yep, agree.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, that is it for the news this week. I am stealing Charlie's thunder, but Charlie, why don't you take us to the next segment of the show?
Oh my goodness, it would be my esteemed pleasure. Well, it's time to get out your app for the Fuber, the Feeble Uber app. We've got to get down to Scugtown, talking about Nastyville, wherein you shall find the Geek Easy, where we talk about what we're watching and reading. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, and the cover band is playing, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So wowie wow, gentlemen. Luke, why don't you kick us off on something I think we're all excited to talk about?
Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely. The past few weeks, I have become enamored with the quality, the acting, and the writing of The Last of Us.
Yes.
This is a masterpiece of a show thus far, and I had my reservations, and contextually for anybody that's a gamer that's listening, not a gamer, The Last of Us is considered, high bar, but I never liked it. I never enjoyed it. It was very good, well done, and whatnot, but I never had fun because it's such a dark story. But it works so well in video, or rather as a show, I should say. And I'm really enamored with Pedro Pascal's performance. The writing in general feels sincere. And without a doubt, gentlemen, episode 3 broke me. I don't usually
Agreed.
For
get
anyone
emotional.
who has a heart, to quote Jack Donaghy from 30 Rock when asked if he liked Phil Collins, well, I've got 2 ears and a heart, don't I?
Yeah.
My God.
I don't cry often, if ever, and I bawled by the end of that episode.
The wife and I were
it was
a good handhold. Yeah.
Ooh,
It was intense.
it was good. Well done. And that's what that show is. That's what that story is. And as a game, sometimes I worry it's a bit pedantic and a little kind of up its own butt. But as a show, it just works so well. So well.
Yeah, this was a very unique episode because, Luke, I've been talking about how I was playing the demo of the Last of Us Part 1 re-release. Sony put out a demo that was 2 hours long. So I essentially played up to the first 2 episodes, essentially, in the game. That's a lot of what allows you to do. So I was always wondering about the pacing, what they would do. This episode is essentially not even in the game. It's brand new.
Yep.
We meet Bill in the video game very short. It's you're trying to get a truck. Bill's the guy you get the truck from in the game, and he essentially mentions casually about losing his partner. That's it.
Right. So this was a drill down, as it were, and yeah, it was the opposite, Todd, of what we talked about last week with going off book with written material, because we talked about we talked about the Game of Thrones and how they kind of soldiered on after the material was gone and how it didn't work out so great. We talked about James Bond and how a lot of its original stuff. So yeah, this went off book, or they took like a little something, and and in Star Wars, that doesn't always work out so great to be like, oh, let's do a side story about Lando's, what do I always say? What Lando had for breakfast the Tuesday after, The Empire Strikes Back, and it's a train wreck. This was masterful because it told a story that anyone, regardless of your sex, age, or whatever, can relate to. Love, loss, hopefully most of us partnership, and then, loss again. And we've all had it in some way, shape, or form. If it's a partner, if it's a kid, it's a parent. Yeah, this hit home to all of us, I'm sure.
And it was the acting level was just Nick Offerman just took me to a level I didn't know that he had as an actor, which to me is just very impressive. And in some ways, it was a little unbelievable to think the events could have existed within that world of, people going around, but just the way they explained how things happened, the level of writing for the characters, like, Joel, I never liked you, but I did respect you. I was like, well, man, like that's like, but like, what could be more Joel to be like, I get it,
Yep.
Okay.
And at the end of the episode, Joel was wearing Nick Offerman's partner's shirt.
Frank.
Frank's shirt. And I don't know if people caught that. I noticed that.
I didn't.
Yeah, if you the one that Joel leaves with is the shirt that Frank arrived with.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know how it must have been in the laundry because they didn't go in the bedroom. Because
Well, they were dressed up that night, right? Right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. They were told not to go into the bedroom.
right. Yeah. So there was in the wash. It was hanging on the lines. Must have been.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed, Frank, the actor Frank, is an actor that's very new to me. But Charlie, you probably know him better. I don't know if Luke, if you watched The White Lotus, but that is the manager of The White Lotus, who is, I think, he's Australian in really life.
He is, because he was on Colbert or Kimmel or something last week. So he's there speaking in his Aussie accent. I was like, what? Oh my goodness. And this episode got me back in love with Linda Ronstadt, which that's not hard to do. And that's funny because that's one of her classic like 60s songs. That's not even, her big blip in the 70s where she did, Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me or You're No Good. Yeah. This was her back because I went and found it immediately on Amazon, and it's very heavily orchestrated, and it sounds like, this is definitely from the late 60s before they got into, before she was a rockin' chick in the 70s. She was doing this kind of stuff. So
it's and I think this gives me pause. And Luke, you've played both games. I had you on to talk about as a roundtable on the second game, and this gives me pause to understand. Like, I first thought the whole first game would be done in one season. I don't know how many episodes there are, but considering that they're doing like this, and I expect maybe now we'll see more of these sidebars, and that the first season may not it may not make it through the first game. It may be like the first game is 2 seasons.
I thought about that, but they did come out and say, they came out and said that the season 2 is going to be part 2. So,
really?
So they clearly are going through it, but that makes me wonder, because I don't know how you adapt part 2 into a show entirely. There are a few not time travel, but like flash portions.
Gotcha.
It's kind of split story too.
Yeah. Right. It's 2 different stories.
Yeah, that's where I'd wonder is there an organic moment in that first game where you can split it where it's even, or do they have to do a lot more supplemental material?
The first game is set into seasons, so they even call it out like this is winter, and there's some very specific things that happen where I could see they could split this up. And I don't know how many episodes there are, but I do worry after 3 episodes in, if this is a 10 episode season, 7 more episodes, there's a lot of heavy lifting because there's a lot of stuff left to cover.
Episodes are long though. I mean, they're in the hour plus range.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, hour plus, and and it's solid programming. So there's not like a huge long recap or commercial breaks, or like when Todd and I were watching Buck Rogers and they have a preview that's like 2 minutes. Like, here's what's going to happen in the thing you're about to watch. They had a lot of time to kill back in the day.
Yeah, there's a great interview with Nick Offerman on Jimmy Kimmel. You should watch it. It's very funny. Just really good conversation. He's married to Megan Mullally, and they're such a great couple.
Right.
Fantastic.
They've done so much stuff together. And of course, she was also on Parks and Recreation. She was Tammy 2.
Oh, the crazy
his
wife.
2 ex-wives. Yeah, it was it Patricia Richardson was Tammy 1, and she was the buttoned up one. And then Tammy 2 was the crazy one, but Tammy 2 was terrified of Tammy 1.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's your mother's
Everybody
name.
was.
You're right.
Yeah. Ooh, I cannot wait. It's on tonight.
Yes, I know.
4,
appointment viewing. We're always done with our stuff by 9 p.m. because we got to watch that and then we go to bed.
Yeah, I tell you, HBO, they nail appointment television like I think no one else does. Maybe Mando or Disney or something like that. But man, oh man, I think the world just stops.
Well, right, but
there's an episode of something.
Things on Disney come on midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern. So that's not appointment viewing. Watch it first thing in the morning if you can. But 9 p.m. Yeah, HBO has cornered the market on that, and may they continue to, because I like that.
It's very cool. It's a lot of talk like this where we can digest an episode. We don't just imagine if this was dropped all at once.
No, you see,
the third episode might have gotten like we wouldn't have this great discussion. Be like, okay, people haven't gotten to it and they'd be spoiled. So
yeah, exactly. Correctamundo. Cool, Luke. What else you got?
I'm also enjoying a show called The Rookie, which is with Nathan Fillion, and my wife and I put it on. Very low stakes cop show, which is something that we enjoy because it's not so cheesy that we're like, all right, come on, but it's cheesy enough that you can escape and be happy while you watch a cop show. And so that's been our go-to right now, and I like Nathan Fillion a lot. I think Castle is going to be on our list next.
Castle's fantastic. Such a good show.
I've seen a bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
We did something similar with a show called American Auto that's on Peacock right now that has the star is somebody from SNL, and I could never place
Anna
her.
Gasteyer.
Thank you. Oh my God. And all the other people are kind of nobodies. But again, it's a sitcom and very low stakes, but it's set in Detroit, which is my hometown. So I kind of enjoy it. And the auto industry, which if you live in Michigan, everybody's life is touched by the auto industry. So I kind of enjoy it for that.
Luke, I was going to say, because The Rookie, it's successful. It's been going on. It's the premises about, he was an older guy who basically was the oldest rookie ever to police force. And now they have a spin-off of it called The Rookie, Feds. And it's, what's her name, Charlie, from Reno 911, the black lady.
Oh, oh God, what's her name? CeCe Nash.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she is the
Niecy
same.
Nash.
It's a rookie, but as a
Niecy
federal
Nash.
officer.
Thank you. Yeah.
Niecy Nash, yeah.
Oh, I have. You know what? I actually saw a billboard for that driving through Chicago several months ago. So that does sound familiar.
I watched episode 1 of The Rookie Feds, and it's more cheesy than The Rookie, and they really beat to death the fact that she was a counselor. It's a little, because I love Niecy Nash, but it's a little heavy-handed on some of the things. Like, when I was a counselor, we were part of a national network, and we knew our kids. And it's like, oh, and now you've solved the murder because you knew. It's like, okay, a little much here. It's easy to believe Nathan Fillion was a contractor, and that applies. It doesn't really work for the FBI part, but it's fun, and that's the cool part. And sometimes there are little pop-up characters from The Rookie in there. It's its own little cinematic universe, and again, it's low stakes, so you can't be mad. You're just having fun. Going on this.
Why are you mad, bro? Oh my
it's on Hulu. I think it's all on Hulu, so you can catch it pretty quickly. Yeah.
Got to. All right, let's keep things moving. Todd, and you and I saw, and we had to coordinate about this because I know you had some scheduling issues, but you went out and saw The Knock at the Cabin. That is the latest opus by M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong, following up The Beach That Makes You Get Old, and his last several movies, which didn't really do it for me personally.
You didn't like Glass or Split?
Okay, you know what? I'll give you those, but I was thinking of The Visit, the one with the kids. That stunk. I didn't really care for that.
Got it. Got it. And Luke, do you care about this movie? We don't want to spoil anything for you.
No, I even read an article of all the M. Night Shyamalan twists.
Yeah.
I don't
and this one was pretty well laid out, I think, in trailers for the most part, except for, it leads you right up to the point where, the trailer kind of takes you as far as you need to go in order to get you interested, in my opinion. So you have a same-sex couple. They have an adopted daughter. They're on vacation. Like everything Shyamalan does, it's in Pennsylvania. It's in the woods somewhere. They rented a cabin, and it opens up little girls playing in the woods, collecting grasshoppers, and here comes Dave Bautista out of the woods. Holy shit. And this, he's like 200 times bigger than this little girl. But he's very polite. He introduces himself. Hey, my name is, was it Leonard? Was his name Leonard? Yeah. My name is Leonard. What's your name? And her name is, already forgotten, Gwen? Something like that.
Gwen.
Yeah. And they start chit-chatting. He says, well, I'm here to make friends with you and your dad's. And you're already like, oh, please, I just don't want him to be a serial killer. But at any rate, she gets freaked out. She gets freaked out when Leonard's associates also start to walk out of the woods, and they all have crazy, scary weapons. Like one's got a hatchet, and it's a hatchet with a knife on the end of it, and it's a hodgepodge of actors. The only one you're really going to necessarily pick out is
Ron Weasley.
Rupert Grint, Ron Weasley, and then there's a black woman, and there's a kind of nondescript other younger
white
woman.
Chick.
Yeah, white chick. There you go. And it's their job to basically, and they do after finally breaking into the cabin after Gwen walks back in, and her dad's, it's Andrew and Dan.
Adam,
thank you. It takes a minute, manages to subdue them. Andrew does get one of them gets a knock on the head, knock at the cabin, knock on the head, has a concussion. And, the four villains, as it were, have got the two dads tied up and the little girl as well. And what Leonard says is that the four of us don't know each other, but we were plagued by visions of the end of the world. And what's necessary to stop the end of the world is a sacrifice from the three of you. The three of you, one of you has to kill one of the other ones, and the world will be saved. Naturally, that's a little hard to swallow.
That's in the trailer, isn't it? I think most of that is in kind of the trailer.
That's just the thing. They take you all the way up to you need to make a decision. And they don't tell you what decision they need to make. So, yeah. So, like I said, that's why I feel like the trailer takes you all the way up to getting you interested. Like, what are they supposed to do? Though it's not too far afield to make the next leap and figure out what's going to involve somebody killing somebody else or whatever.
Yeah. And it's a selfless sacrifice. It can't be someone kills somebody else without their permission. The whole premise is one of them has to
willingly
give up their life. And this is the bad part. One of them has to kill, though. They have to. It's not like the folks coming to them are then saying, okay, well, I'll kill you. Nope. It has to be someone from the family has to kill the other person that said, I will give my life. So that's obviously two difficult discussions right there.
Right. And clearly it's going to be one of the two adults. They're going to.
Certainly
you hope.
Spoilers, surely not.
Oh, come on.
That's the twist.
They kill they kill the kid graphically. And I mean,
the one guy, I can't kill him, honey. You kill your father.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
That'd be a twist right there. Yeah,
do it for Daddy Andrew. Kill Daddy Dan.
Exactly. I can't do it. He's my husband. He's just your adopted dad.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's
exactly.
Ooh,
ouch.
That was mean of me.
That's a little sharp. But anyway, Leonard intersperses. They're on a timetable. He turns on the television occasionally and shows them that the longer that they hold off, there are disasters happening over the world. There's a huge flood that happens off the Oregon coast. At one point, airplanes, 1,000 of them around the world randomly fall out of the sky.
There's a tsunami, earthquake causes a tsunami. Yeah. So, and I don't think we have to go probably any further, Charlie, probably in in regards to summary of the plot. But I would say I think this is a movie, and we can give our last minute takes. But I would say this is the least M. Night Shyamalan movie that I think he's made.
Right.
There really is no twist at the end.
Right.
There really is no twist.
Very straightforward. The only thing you're left wondering is, are these four people for real?
Yeah.
And that is what is explored, obviously, in the second half of the film. Because you don't know that the whole thing couldn't be a setup. What if, and that was what I think Andrew was saying. You could have brought a video in here, and every time you turn on the TV, it's something that, you had produced. And then it gets way more real as thing goes on. So, yeah, you're right. There was no twist. I said to you going into this, I said, I hope he got somebody better to do the scripting, because the way he writes dialogue for people like George Lucas writes dialogue for people. And so much that like Harrison Ford said, hey, George, you can write this stuff, but you sure can't say it. I just really noticed that that is not his forte. Correct. And so, yeah, Todd, even you had said that, I think he's got somebody else doing the
this is an edit, and this is an adaptation based on I believe a graphic novel. Okay. And yes, there were other writers on this for it.
Goodness,
and we did get once again a M. Night Shyamalan cameo, which was just so weird, an odd one, the best way to put it.
Right.
And
we won't spoil that.
Look for it. You won't notice it. Yeah. But this movie I felt was tight. They got right to the premise.
Right. Yeah. A lot quicker than I thought, because they did some interstitial flashbacks of them going to the cabin. They did a flashback of when they went to Korea to adopt her, and they did a flashback of something else related to the plot as far as Rupert Grint's character. And they did. It was very tight. I agree.
Yeah. I think the other part was I felt like this is the most movie in regards to composition. I think strong performances by the actors, heartfelt. So I think this is a different M. Night Shyamalan movie. This was R-rated, but I felt there was nothing that deserved the R rating. All the violence was shown pretty much off screen.
Yeah, it's not graphic, which was good.
Yeah, and definitely some heartfelt moments. And I did kind of guess what was going to be the reveal. So, which is not the twist. It's just a reveal that I kind of felt like, okay, I called it and I think it works. And it is funny because the only thing I thought was, what's to stop the next time this happens again? And if you're the family that had to make this decision, wouldn't it feel crappy if someone just decided not to make the decision?
You're like, oh, no, I'm not doing
all
that.
Our sacrifice and you screwed up? What the heck?
Yeah, I'm so glad I decided to, one person kill the other. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. And the whole 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse thing, I never even knew them by name. I thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what I was talking about. Like kind of like not the twist, but kind of the premise of it. So I thought, yep, this is probably the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which is exactly the way it described it. And they made them different than the normal 4 Horsemen Apocalypse, I thought, which was typically plague, famine,
Yeah.
war, and
I turned
pestilence.
to April as we were driving home, and I said, the only thing I know about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is from the X-Men and the X Factor in the 80s. That's all I know. Because it was Angel and it was Jean Grey, and wasn't one of those Four Horsemen and two others?
Archangel was the big one.
Exactly.
But over time, Wolverine's become one of the Four Horsemen. But
that fits. That fits. Well, cool. All right,
so I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. Like I said, definitely a new step forward for him. I will, and I think this is one of the first times he's actually adapted something that was not his own original creation, which is kind of cool.
Except for that Avatar, which I've not heard good things. But anyway, Todd, take us home. What else? You got one other thing here.
Yeah, I was really surprised by this show. There was advertisements for this thing called Peripheral. Chloe Grace Moretz is in this. And just around the time that this is coming out, she was like tweeting up a storm, like, "Hey, I want to do PC gaming. What should I do?" And I don't know if that was a ploy, but definitely got people to perk up. I could recommend a PC. And I'm like, Luke, you're looking for PC recommendations.
Well, yeah, just trying to get my Patreon's got to go a little further before I can do it.
Stretch.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. But I thought it was funny. But she was doing a lot of publicity, and she seems like she's a nerd at heart, and that's great. She's a great actress. I mean, she's been in Kick-Ass. She was one of the kid actors in 30 Rock.
Yes, the Cabletown granddaughter.
Yeah, so she's really turned into a really great actress. Didn't seem to stumble like through that weird awkward phase where I've got to be mature now and over sexualize myself and do things like that. So I think she's in this role is really great. This is based on a novel by I'm blanking on his name. He does all of like the Neuromancer books. William Gibson. That's who it is.
Oh, there you go.
It's one of his creations. This is a really cool premise of this is set 10 years in the future. So 2032 essentially, where in the future people are using VR to essentially do jobs for other people. And it's kind of a neat thing where you can get paid to help people through like real life challenges in real life through VR, which is kind of cool.
That's
and
cool.
The premise is that she is really good at this, but her brother, who you find out was an ex-military member who essentially is on disability, he uses his avatar and she plays as him because she's much better at this. So it's pretty cool. And I really like that premise. They're definitely not well-to-do. They're basically in the backwoods. She's working a dead-end job. And they get sent this device and offer to do a job from essentially a South American mafia of some sort. So they put it in. She goes in, and apparently it's going to pay very well. And it changes. I don't want to go too deep into this, but becomes very real. This feels like almost like a James Bond type mission, and it's very cool. You find it's layered on deeper and deeper as you go into this. Like I finished episode 2 and I'm like, I can't wait to watch more. I really like where this is going. Cause when I saw the preview for it, I'm like, this looks like one of those sci-fi movies or things that are just like, it's cooler than the substance inside it is. Basically,
it's synergy.
It's a lot of spectacle, looks neat, but when it comes down to it, it's a lot of like the plotting is not good, the pacing's bad, it takes forever to get to the point. Where are we going? And you just feel like this doesn't feel. It's not really. It's there's been a lot of those that have failed because they just failed to deliver on timely delivery of what you should take away to move yourself forward, and why should I be invested? And I think this one does a great job. Even with episode 1, I think it delivered. Episode 2 layered on that and makes me even more excited about where this is going. And the cast is great. It's the budget seems very, capable of delivering what they wanted to do. And I'm excited to see where this goes. So,
and who's got it? Where's it on?
Amazon has it.
Amazon. Maybe that's probably where I saw something for it because Amazon, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I think they were advertising like Thursday Night Football when they have their games. So I really am impressed. It's going to be my new treadmill show or my elliptical show, or I'll watch it when I'm doing my elliptical exercise, which is good. And I think if you're interested in Luke, I think this reminded me of like Hitman. So like the video game Hitman,
Okay.
where you're doing missions and stuff like that. But I'm like, this is why I'm thinking like they should develop Hitman and take that premise and make a TV show about it, like the hit of the week. Cool. That would be so awesome. Versus the bad. That would be cool. What was it? Timothy Oliphant, was he in the Hitman movie?
He was in the first one, and then there was a second movie that didn't really hit either. I liked
not Hitman
role. It did not hit Hitman.
I mean, it's a simple premise. I mean, he takes on missions and has to take out people, and the video game's kind of taken it to the next level where it's like the premises are ridiculous, and you can do anything you can. Like Charlie, they did one of the missions. The game was essentially Clue, but you were coming in as an inspector to solve a crime, but you're also there to kill somebody. It was great. It was great.
Oh boy.
So I could just see this. This made me think of Hitman as I watched this. So I think this is really cool. The tech is neat. The special effects are good, and the acting is great. Not a lot of actors you'll know, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you're looking for something new. I don't know if it's going to get a second season, but I hope it does. I'm not sure what Amazon's track record is, quite honestly, with renewals and canceling things. So far, they've seemed like they've been pretty good about keeping things going.
Excellent. Well, cool. All right. Rappity rap. Time to get out of the Geek Easy. Todd, get out. It's your turn to buy the plane tickets on Air Qantas to get us down to the land down under. Tina and the mutants await this week. Here we come. DCU.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, the big news dropped. James Gunn promised that we would have more to share about what is actually happening in the DC cinematic universe at the end of January. He promised. He made it just under the gun, as they would say.
Under the gun. Come on now.
Exactly. So he did a 5-minute video that dropped, and he essentially went through everything. Very quick, very polished, very excited. And basically walking you through kind of like what the plan is. And this is just, as he said, what I'm telling you right now is only part 1, and we're calling it Gods and Monsters. So very quickly, I will go through. And Charlie, thank you for putting this little image I found. If you guys scroll down at the document, it's kind of neat because it's kind of giving you a little bit of everything.
Did I put it there? I was just
no. You gave it to me, and you shared it with the group, and I put it in this.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah. So
yes, there. Yes, it was all me.
We've got this great graphic, which kind of like I'll kind of explain how this works. So essentially, what James Gunn said was there is several things that have already been completed in the works that I had nothing to do with, but they are coming. These are essentially the remnants of everything that I did not have anything to do with, but we need to either put out or we're not doing anymore. And it's reflected in the universe reset is what they're calling it. So
and there's no Batgirl.
Yeah, so
we've dead for good.
So we talked about that. Yeah, Batgirl, Black Adam was released. Batgirl was not.
Yeah, Black Adam.
Oh, I like that
Charlie
movie.
Being nice.
Batgirl
liked it.
Sorry, buddy. All right.
So we do know James Gunn said you're going to get Shazam, Fury of the Gods. That's coming out March 17th. We're getting Flash in June. That will then reset everything, which is confusing to me. But he said it should all make sense, okay? Because he touched on the fact that he said some of these things are not very connected, so they play well with potentially the future of the universe, which would be Blue Beetle, which comes out in August. And then we have Aquaman 2, which is the one that confuses me the most. Because
what does the subhead say? The Kingdom of Poseidon. What does it say? The Last Kingdom? The Lost Kingdom.
Yeah. So this is kind of like he basically said this is kind of the things that are coming soon, and we'll take care of how it's going to set up what's next. He then mentioned the fact is we will have something called DC Elseworlds, which if you've read any DC comics over the years, this is where DC puts out comics, which is basically saying this is our attempt to tell stories with existing characters and do different things with them, but they are not canon. It's just us taking opportunities to tell stories and just play around with our characters as we will. Those would be Joker, Folie Deux, I think is what the sequel is called. That's coming out in 2024. The Batman, that is coming out as well.
Part 2, you mean?
Part 2, the Batman Part 2 is coming out in 2025. Then we have Teen Titans Go, which was funny that they called that out because I'm like, I guess they're still making. I didn't know they were still making Teen Titans Go.
And Superman and Lois, which I thought was dead. April and I liked that show. We watched all of it on HBO.
Well, it's the only one that they haven't made a decision on if it's going to.
So that one might go fall off the list.
Yeah, but as of right now, it's not tied into really anything their plans are. It's just they're calling it Elseworlds. So that is kind of like setting the stage for essentially everything that's we know of and it's out there is where it's going to go. So then we basically have got James Gunn telling us we're going to get 5 TV series and 5 movies that are all brand new that he and Peter Safran in the writer's room got together and said, we are going to make. And we can go through those fairly quick. Creature Commandos, it's animated. It's going to be one of the first things. This has been a comic book. And it's actually, there is a DC Nations short that they did a couple of shorts previously. If you want to see those, I can share those. That's pretty cool. We're getting Waller, which is essentially the character from
Amanda Waller, Suicide
Squad, and Peacemaker, who will have her own series. Essentially, they're calling this Peacemaker 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Superman Legacy. This is going to be a younger Superman. This is coming out July 2025. We're getting Lanterns, a live-action TV series with Jon Stewart, and not the comedian, but Jon Stewart.
Too bad.
And Al Jordan, where they are terrestrial lanterns, space cops assigned to Earth. The Authority, which is a Wildstorm property, which is essentially this is essentially a super team that is a little less scrupulous than the JLA, but
like the boys
have a good intention.
Right.
A little bit like that.
Then
we have Paradise Lost, which is a live action TV series. They're calling this kind of like Game of Thrones political intrigue on Paradise Island, also known as Themyscira. It's a TV series, which don't really know yet if this is pre-Diana. I don't know if that's been determined. We are getting Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's going to be a film. This is going to be a new take on Batman with Damian Wayne, which is based on another comic book series by Grant Morrison. Then we have Booster Gold, a live action series, which is Booster Gold was a heritage 80s character, was introduced, essentially a hero from the future, kind of a ne'er-do-well, comes back using technology from the future, comes back to be a hero. Think of it almost like a TikTok star wanting to be a superhero.
When I think about Booster Gold, I think about Star-Lord, if that helps.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But wanting to be like a star, but to your right point, like you can call me Star-Lord. Right. Yeah, same thing with that. Yeah. Booster Gold is one that I loved it because I had a comic book back in the day. He had a friend called like a robot drone called Skeets that was kind of like the professor would try to keep him on his straight and narrow. And he teamed up with Blue Beetle, Ted Cord. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. It's another film. This is based on an actual comic series that came out in 2021 by Tom King. It's lauded to be very good. It's focusing on a different Supergirl. Charlie, this is actually going to be our next Spinner Rack.
Yeah, it's going to be Spinner Rack, and look for it in a couple of weeks, folks, on Patreon.
And then Swamp Thing. This is going to be a film. The funny part about Swamp Thing, he's already had 2 movies from the 80s that were really bad, and he also had a TV series on DC Universe.
For 2.5 seconds. I canceled, so I didn't watch it. Love the first Swamp Thing because you had Adrienne Barbeau topless. What do you want? Anyway.
This is going to be DC dipping into horror. And it was announced that James Mangold is most likely going to direct this. James Mangold directed Logan. Mangold, I believe.
Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny.
Exactly. So this is everything. I've kind of laid everything out here. So I do not want to be like, we're not going to discuss this. We are. I just wanted to have everybody say, this is what's happening with DC. We have never gotten this before in regards to so many things announced so far in advance.
Map that they want to stick to. Because, with DC, it was always, we're going to do this. And now we stuck the Rock in here. And he's telling us we're going to blah, blah, blah. And before this, it'll become this thing or that thing. Or this show canceled. Or here comes Discovery. And we're going to cancel a bunch of stuff. So it's been a mess from the 10,000-foot view of someone who's not a DC devotee the way that you two guys are as well. But I want to hear what Luke thinks because he's the DC. He's our DC dude. So rap to me.
Ooh, so I remember when Zack Snyder first came in and there was a vision, and that was exciting because you had a vision. Man of Steel was the start of something new. And so That was exciting. Then, to your point, Charlie, a lot of mixed and muddling and frustrations, and some people liked it, some people didn't. Whatever it is, it sounds to me when I look at this slate from James Gunn that, all right, we're done with the like. There were a lot of great things about Snyderverse, a lot of things that people found wanting, and then some weird, confusing parts. I'm excited for people to be excited about DC once again. That is what it is for me. I know that whoever wears the cape, because I love Henry Cavill as Superman, but whoever wears that cape, I'm probably gonna love. Short of Dean Cain, I'm gonna love him because it's my hero. It's people that I look up to, and so I'm excited for people to care about DC. It sounds like James Gunn and his team are sitting down to create a plan that, while it existed before, Snyder did have a plan before, got meddled with. It doesn't sound like DC is going to meddle. It sounds like this is yours. Go.
He's the dude. Yeah, he's the dude.
So I like that unified vision. I'm excited to see what they put together. One thing that nobody can ever accuse James Gunn of is ignoring source material. He's very good at respecting source material. He's very good at taking comics to screen. He's proven that in Marvel. He's proven that in DC. He's done it multiple times in both. You have the Peacemaker. You have the Suicide Squad. You have everything he's done with Guardians of the Galaxy and consulting on Avengers proper. I'm excited for this. I'm very excited for this. He made some choices that I definitely wouldn't. There are some things that I'd like to see different. And either way, I'm still excited for this because it's bringing people to care about the heroes I care about so much. And I'm kind of done with Marvel. I think I'm just kind of like, I have MCU fatigue. I really loved everything phases 1 through 3, parts of phase 4, and it's just kind of getting long in the tooth for me. And so I'm excited for people to kind of swing their vision over to DC in what looks to be a pretty positive way regardless.
Luke, and I'm a DC diehard. I've really wanted to be excited about DC, and I felt like DC, for every win they got a loss, and it's consistency would be great. I do have loved about DC. They're willing to take chances and do things all over the place. Yep. But it has felt disconnected. I mean, you got like Doom Patrol, then you got Titans, then you got Pennyworth, then you got Gotham, and then it's like then you got Joker, CW. And exactly. Then you got some of the great animated stuff that we saw. It was like, this is great. Adapt some of those. So and because of the different leadership changes throughout time, it felt like the folks at the head of Warner Brothers didn't really know what they wanted to do, but they're like, do something. And, we'll pick some good projects and we'll pick some good people behind it. But it was the tone, the narrative was kind of like all over the place.
For every The Batman, there was a Wonder Woman 1984. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what is this?
How do they make Pedro Pascal look like a moron? I mean, that guy?
The story was stupid. It didn't fit into the universe. Like, why not? Like, why not? And then a lot of people love the Joker, or just like the one with Joaquin Phoenix. That's not a DC movie. There's nothing DC in there except that he paints his face and calls himself Joker. It doesn't feel like a DC movie at all. What's that doing there next to the Batman? You've got the Batman and the Joker. They don't. There's nothing there.
There's no connection.
And so that's a very strange thing. I understand the unified vision. I'm a little bit befuddled because I really did like the tone that Black Adam hit. It felt like an in-between of the super serious and the fun. But even if it didn't hit it, there was groundwork laid. And how many times in the last decade did we see groundwork laid for future DC that wasn't fulfilled? Yeah. So at the very least, we're going to get rid of that. I don't know why Blue Beetle exists. If it's not part of a larger thing, that's not going to do well at all. I don't know what Aquaman 2 is doing. I guess we have to see the Flash. But okay, so now you've got Ezra Miller. Can you keep going? Apparently the movie's great, but Ezra's screwing up, and then you got Zach Levi making comments, and it's like, bro, what's going on here? What are you gonna do? Just cut the cord. Let me die.
Yeah, and if James,
let me do a Black Widow.
Yeah, and if we know anything about James Gunn, the guy was almost out of the industry.
Right.
Disney essentially fired him. They got rid of him, so he knows that. Quite honestly, sometimes. Things don't always go your way, and going to be in the public spotlight, things go back to haunt you. So maybe that's why he's not shutting the door on a lot of things. And that's one of the things I think is humbling, is James Gunn didn't have to be on Twitter constantly answering dumb questions.
Right.
You know, he didn't have to mention the fact that he met with Gal Gadot. He met with The Rock. He met with all these people. He's creating relationships. And James Gunn has great relationships with everybody he's worked with. And he's not shutting the door on anybody. He, like he said, I may work with the people I worked with in the past. I may work with them again. It's okay. I can do that. But I'm going to bring in new faces, new talent. And I think that's what's great. And James Gunn has what I think even Kevin Feige doesn't have. Kevin Feige hasn't made a film. He's produced a film, but he's never made it. And Kevin Feige is a gem, but he's never come on the screen and Twitter and told you what's happening. It's been other people behind it. So it's really refreshing to see a leader show this excitement, the guys behind this, and not shy away from all of the elephants in the room. So regardless of where this
Taking
goes,
the slings and arrows, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because there was an article about the fact that James Gunn has been continuing to talk about these are the comics that inspire some of the things, and he's reading them. And as soon as he put those out there, these comic books are now sold out, and that's amazing.
Synergy, baby. He's making money for the big beast. Yeah,
well, it's great
because it's creating interest. Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say.
No,
I really did forget it, but I'll come back to it. I'll find it. I'll find it. It's in there. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Bad podcaster. What I like about the building relationships part, Todd, is in building relationships, he's acknowledged what's going on with Henry Cavill. He's talked to Ben Affleck. He might get Ben Affleck for directing. Well, that's no slouch of a director. Say what you will, but the guy wins awards, and he's a great director. And he doesn't have to wear the bat suit to contribute to DC. In a world where, and DC does this many times, we meet our heroes once again from Elseworlds. Forgive the accidental pun. There's no reason to think you couldn't see him again. Michael Keaton's going to suit up again. No reason they can't come back. We saw Brendan Routh do it. There's a lot of avenues and ways. And so for him to not shut doors on people, to leave options open is cool. The part that frustrates me is, okay, what's Aquaman 2 doing? Who's that? Is he Aquaman? Is he going to stay Aquaman? Who's the Flash? Who's Superman? Who's Batman? I'm very curious how that gets navigated. And I do not want Matt Reeves' Batman anywhere near this universe.
Correct.
Let that exist. It's kind of like the Nolan verse. It doesn't work well with superpowers.
No.
Right.
Let that be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're going to do. And that's the whole point of calling. I think you're going to see DC Elseworlds : the Batman. And I think people are smart enough to figure that out. Never underestimate the intelligence of audience these days, because I think when you do, then you get like the Batman origin for the 85th time. We don't need it. We just don't need it. We need to expect that we know who Superman is. We know who Batman is. There's enough nerds in the world. And, if people don't know it, Wikipedia
talk
exists.
About 100-year-old origin stories, damn near. We're getting there. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah. And I am very excited. A lot of the source material is driving a lot of these future projects. I think when the source material is ignored or just not really taken into account, I think you lose opportunities to say, this story was great and it can work. It just probably needs to be tweaked and adapted to the strength of the medium it's going to. Swamp Thing, Alan Moore, one of the best runs in comics history from a horror lens and creating a campy character and making him iconic. The Authority, everyone's saying comparing to The Boys. The Authority came out before The Boys, and they are a really unique super team with a lot of unique characters. They introduced Midnighter and Apollo, which was one of the first gay couples that were there, and they were a superhero couple, kind of a riff on DC characters. All-Star Superman, a great comic book. I don't think it's going to necessarily be adapted to it, but I think there's going to take the heart and some of the soul of some of those things, might influence what their version of Lex Luthor will be, which is great. And then Luke, and I think you are a huge fan of Batman. We've got very little Batman family in anything on the silver screen, and the fact that Damian Wayne is coming in, which means if Damian Wayne's in this, we're probably going to get Nightwing. We're probably going to get other family members coming in, which is phenomenal. We've got how many years of Batman, and yet very rarely, except for the Batman, was it Batman and Robin movie? That's about it on the silver screen.
Yeah, and I mean, you had in Snyderverse, he was only mentioned in like backgrounds, like Robin was dead, but that was Dick Grayson that was killed. Only off-screen mentioned or in like the post-credit mentions, but never seen. You had Batman and Robin with Chris O'Donnell, Batman Forever,
Alicia
of course,
Silverstone.
Chris O'Donnell,
Mhm.
Alicia Silverstone. But the Bat family is one of those dangerous things to mess with, I think, on the silver screen, because it can very easily get too big and bloated, and then you have a CW show,
Yeah.
right? And that's a scary, scary problem, because there's a lot. Like, how many? Like, are you going all the way to Cassandra Cain? Like, where are you taking it? And we've seen some of these characters, here and there, but it can very easily become something that you don't want. And you look at that. There's a new Batman show that doesn't star Batman called Gotham Knights
Oh.
coming out.
Right.
Yikes, that looks bad.
Ooh.
So I'm stoked to see Damian Wayne, because he's a fantastic character with a huge backstory. Are we going to see that backstory? I hope so. Are we going to see stuff happen? I hope so. And that's kind of the cool part about what James Gunn is talking about, where these characters, played by the same actors, they might voice them, but they're going to weave in and out of animation and live action. That might be how you get to see some of that backstory. If that's cool, I think that's really neat. If it gets pulled off, it's a lot of coordination. They're going to need a Bible in front of them that's, walls and walls long, do's and don'ts, and really planning. But that's what the MCU has.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, the MCU has gotten it right story-wise. Very few plot holes for 30 some odd movies and several shows now. So I like that. There's a lot of good news here for anything. If anyone's locking onto the frustrating stuff, it's time to acknowledge, like, there's a lot good here, and DC's got a bright future potentially. But I've seen a great roadmap before,
Yeah.
Right.
There was a time when
Yeah.
David Ayer had the Suicide Squad, and we were really excited before studio meddling.
Yeah.
And then, things go away. And I hate when people, whatever your opinions are on that, I hate when the original vision is sacrificed by people that don't make movies, that don't read
Right.
comics. That sucks.
Right.
I was gonna say one last thing is so James Gunn essentially is going to be in charge of the vision of the movies, TVs, and games. The comics will still be under Jim Lee's purvey, which is great because there is tons of source material. They don't have to create new source material but they could play with each other if they need to. But essentially, they don't have to. The comics don't have to be held to what's going on the screen. But they could if they wanted to, which is great. But then the games part is interesting because we don't have a lot of new DC games announced except for the Wonder Woman game and then Suicide Squad. So maybe this means that we're going to get more games soon. But the worry about with that is, and Luke, you know this, games get delayed all the time. So you can't have a pivotal moment in a game, then say, well, now the game's delayed, so the movie's going to get delayed. That's a difficult thing to carry because somebody mentioned today, if a game gets kicked off today, it's probably not going to happen. You're not going to see it actually finished product 4 or 5 years from now.
Right.
Oh, boy. Yikes.
I just want a Superman game.
Yeah.
Please.
God, has there ever been?
Oh, Charlie, there have been.
Not in a long time.
Oh,
I think. Oh, that was it. Superman. That one Superman game based on the Death of Superman, like in the SNES and Genesis.
Oh no! So it's
Might
just
be the best Superman
just
game.
the kind of a bits and pieces ones, just a side scroller or something like that.
Yeah, like Maximum Carnage. It's kind of that time frame when they make those.
Yeah,
games.
they're bouncing. It's like it's just all no, my
Side
God.
scrolling.
Todd, I don't
Wow.
know how caught up you are on XEPU. There was an episode I did where I talked about older superhero games.
Yeah, you
And
had the one for your 360, right? Yeah.
No, for original Xbox. It's this, like, you would never think it game made by Atari on the original Xbox of all things, but it wasn't half bad. Like, it's pretty good. I was like, all right, I see the groundwork. Like, it's very doable, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll be excited to see if this works. But yeah, I think the intent is good to say, like, hey, we could have these fantastic actors voice act the games, which, I mean, I get it. Voice actors are fantastic, but when you hear the guy doing the impression of Tony Stark version, it's like it doesn't even sound like. So it's like unless he's doing his own thing, but if you're having to play the same character and he doesn't sound like it, it's very funky at times.
Funky dunky.
Yeah. So I guess last question for everybody: based on these properties you see, what has you most excited?
Ooh, boy, that's a tough one. I love the lanterns. I love Lamp. That was our bit on when I was doing voice to text the other day when I was talking to you and Mark. I love Lamp. Yeah, I'm all about those lanterns, baby. Let's see that. I've been a closet Green Lantern fan for a long time, but something new about Batman is also great. So that's a tough call.
For me, lanterns. I'm going to go with lanterns as well, even though I'll always get excited for Batman and Superman. Lanterns is cool because he said it's, focuses on John and Hal, but a few others. And I'm a diehard Kyle Rayner fan. I love Kyle Rayner specifically as a Green Lantern. I knew he had runs with other colors and did some other things, but like everything Kyle Rayner leading up to the Power of Ion, I loved. So could we see him in there? That'd be a really cool, neat thing for me. Lanterns opens a lot of doors as well for the universe to see the Manhunters, the Sinestro Corps, and so many other possibilities. And I think that's really neat. Also, shout out to that CGI show about Green Lantern. That was actually legit.
Oh, that was great.
Good. Yeah. And I'm curious about Supergirl. If you don't get Superman right, I could care less about Supergirl.
True.
It's just important that it exists in that way, because that's how the Justice League works and operates. And it's really cool to see Superman mentoring a super being like that. And Supergirl's a really cool character, but there have been several iterations. So.
I think the mix of things we've got here leads the door open to I think there's something for everybody and anybody. Because if you don't like X, you might like Y, which is kind of cool. And I think that a lot of this is a lot of new characters to a lot of people, which is kind of neat. James Gunn made people care about the Guardians of the Galaxy when before he came along. I bet nobody, unless they were deep into Marvel lore, had even heard of them. So that's the credit to James Gunn, that if he finds diamonds in the rough. But for me, I don't want to be a broken record, but Lanterns, he was my favorite DC hero of all time, and the fact that essentially has been off limits and we haven't seen him could be awesome. I love that animated series, like you said, Luke, back in the day. Love that series, fantastic. But for me, I am really excited about Superman having adventures. We have not gotten Superman doing adventures because he's typically, it's life or death, and it's just a one-off. I want to see Superman take on various rogues galleries. I want him to see adventures and doing these things, interacting with I don't know if he's going to be interacting with other heroes as well in this movie, but I think it would be a fantastic way to see him. I mean, I love Brandon Ruth. I've loved a lot of things about every Superman version we've got, but we've rarely gotten that just Superman villain of the week or something else. We've not gotten Brainiac proper, which is great. Mongol would be a good villain to take on. There's some other stories that I think that tell some really cool stories. And the fact that James Gunn talked about, he believes in a Superman with kindness, and also he's going to make people understand why a Superman still matters in a world where people think he's relevant. And that makes me very excited.
That's a tall order, but I believe it can be done. That's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good deal.
Absolutely. Well, that is it, folks. Let us know, though, if you have your own thoughts on what shows you would like to see that you don't see listed here, or the ones that you're really excited about that we are going to be getting. And if anybody has any guesses what's going to happen with Aquaman 2, let us know.
Right.
Nobody knows.
It's in the wind. Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Well, Luke, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. We made it past our first snafu. We get it, tight. We're done. Thank you so much. Let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to join you guys. Always down for talking DC. You can find me on all your socials, Hive, Instagram, Twitter, at Insipid Ghost. And you can find my content on all your podcast services and YouTube, the Xbox Expansion Pass.
Excellent. Todd, where do people find you?
At Teoxtra, just having a good time there, meeting new folks, and got a bunch of new followers lately. So that's really neat to see the folks that are seeing what I'm up to, and can't wait to talk more folks. Also working on some future guests for See Friends Unite and new content coming to our Patreon group too. So very excited. This has been like a recharge for Secret Friends. So very excited about our Patreon. So folks, check out our Patreon, check out our website, and very excited to be part of this SFU team.
You got it. And you can find me, of course, primarily on Twitter at the C3. Go ahead and spell it out. Other socials, other places, I'm dabbling a little bit on Instagram these days, but it's under my pseudonym, so they don't find me. My lovely wife in April and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey. That is the West Michigan chapter of the International Star Trek Fan Club. I also run the region, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. If you happen to live in any of those places, want to meet other Trekkers in your neighborhood, I am your guy. So please drop me a line. Website of that name, again, that is the USS Grand Petoskey. One last shout out to our awesome Patreons. Couldn't do it without you. You can visit us over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite to see what we've got in store, and we would love to have you on board. With that, I'm going to tell you thank you for joining us. Sharing is caring, and keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
And a truck.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
Yeah.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.